Hi everybody and welcome to my Unruly Housewife channel. Quite a while ago somebody asked me, is it possible to make a retro cane, such as this one here, without using an extruder, such as this one here? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this video won't mean much to you, so you want to go and click on the description down below and there'll be a link to a video that explains what a retro cane is and how to make it. But for the rest of us, well, let's carry on with this one, shall we? Now, here's a couple of examples of things that I've made in the past with a traditional retro cane. Actually, I think Brandon made that one in a video. And here they are, and we know what that looks like, don't we? I'm not brilliant at lining it all up and everything, but it looks fine. So I made my by hand retro cane, which it gave me these results. And they're just some shapes. Whoops. They're just some shapes. I haven't made them into anything yet. Kind of earringy ones. These are Debbie Bulford cutter shapes. And this is going to be a pendant. And actually it'll probably go up that way. And as you can see, it's by hand you can make quite an interesting interpretation of a retro cane. Now the white that I used was really quite sort of chalky and strong, and I think it's overplayed its hand. But yeah, these are very interesting, aren't they? They're not as regulated as a normal retro cane, but they've got a kind of charm of their own, and it's that handmade kind of charm that quite a lot of our wonky things have got. Shouldn't say that, should I? So if you put this next to that, you can see the similarity. But as my son Brandon put it, it's like Picasso painted a retro cane. And I think he's about right. So I'm going to teach you now how I made my handmade retro cane without using an extruder, and then it's up to you if you want to give it a go. Okay, the first thing you want to do is to choose your colours, and I chose 5 colours and I rolled them through the pasta machine on number 2. They're reasonably thick because we're going to be reducing them quite a bit, so I want them to still be there. And I chose a piece from each colour and I kind of mixed them up, and I've put them together, and they're about, I think it's about 1.5 inches wide that way. They're still on number 2, and I'm just sort of, oops, don't want to do it too wonky, rolling them together like this inexpertly on screen. And then once you've done that, you want to make the middle of your cane, or your part of the cane, and I did that just by rolling these up. And what I'm going for here is just to have a multicoloured middle. I'm trying to keep things varied, because you see I could just make a load of bullseye canes and pile them up and call that a retro cane, but there'd be no variation, would there? So what I'm trying to do here is to create layers with variation. That's basically it. So here is my middle of the cane, and I'm just sort of trying to make sure that it joins together, but that it also sort of spreads out a little bit. I don't want to make these sections too wide, because I want to, when I make it longer and thinner, I still want to find plenty of variation in what I'm doing. And now I'm going to try and just sort of roll these and smooth them out a bit. I need my acrylic block, which I was using for something else, and I'm just going to do that. And probably when I do it closer to my face, I wouldn't have quite as much kind of overlap as this. I'd want them to be a bit straighter, but you know, we'll work with what we've got. So excuse me, I'll take the messy ends off for a minute. Let's just see how long that is. It's probably about 4 inches, which is what I was hoping for. And now what I'm going to do is simply repeat that process with different colours, and I want to wrap the colours around this, and I want to sort of stagger them, mix them up, make thin stripes, thick stripes, stuff like that, so that I can get a variation. So that, because I was thinking about what a retro cane actually does, And what it does is it gives you that variation. So if I was to cut down here like this, cut this out, this is the process I used. Make sure that top is straight. Cat hair all over me. It was so funny today, I bought some new cat collars, and when I took them out of the packet and all the bells started ringing, my friend on the new collars, my cats ran frantically into the room because they thought there was some sort of cat invasion happening. They didn't realise that collars could come into the house on their own. Anyway, so I think I would stagger that particular join and then just roll this round and let's see where it comes to. So it comes to about there. If I do that, it leaves a little mark, doesn't it? And I can just cut that off. There. Slightly off camera, but you know how it goes. So I've made that. Now I know now that this is the right length to wrap, roughly, to wrap around my middle. So now what I would do is take each colour and cut little pieces, different variations. I'll try and vary them against this so that they're not the same colour. Sometimes they will be the same colour. What I'm going for is kind of a random approach, which is never easy, is it? But I would just keep doing this. And now that I've done the first piece, I know how long to make them. And I'm going to do, it's essentially what I did before I rolled that up. I'm going to build a little thing. There you go. Now you see that slightly overlaps this. Just very, very slightly. And I know how long to cut it. So I would continue with what I'm doing here. Different colour. Let's just move my camera back slightly. There you go. And I would finish, I'd carry on until I finished to the end of here. And you can see where we're starting to get our next layer ready to go on. And the join's actually met there, but it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do now is turn the camera off, and I'll come back when I've got this layer ready to apply to my central core. Okay, I'm back. The struggle is real. None of these colours want to stick together, obviously. But now I'm going to wind them around here, and I'll stagger the join as you do. And of course I'm going to have to use this to lift that up. I did square them a bit and then I tried them out, so now they're all wonky. And I'll just lay them on there. Let's go along, make sure that the air comes out. Yeah, see, these are not very straight, but you know what I always say, you'll do better than me. That white doesn't want to stick to anything, it's a real pain. But there you go. We're going to be rolling this so much, I'm sure it'll all fall into place. Kind of shifted along a bit there, didn't I? Oh well. And let's try and line these up. I want to try and keep those colours in line if I can. And then trim that. Got that there. Normally I would take time to separate my colours back out again, but we don't have that sort of time. And then pinch this together. So now I have 2 layers, and it's not just 2 layers of one cane, one bullseye cane, is it? It's several mixed up different colours in one cane. So there's that variation that you get in a retro cane, that when we come to slice it, will make the slices different to one another. I mean, just like a normal retro cane, you will get repetition, there's no doubt about that, but it is similar to a normal retro cane. So I'll just roll this in a bit. People may have suggestions as to how to carry this out better. I'm really open to them. This is just something that I came up with. And now what I'm going to do is pretty much the same thing. I'm going to go through, I'm going to make different slices. I'm going to first of all measure round. So this time they're quite big, the slices, aren't they? They're about that wide. See, I'm going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to build another strip of varying colours, add it to this, and then I'm going to do it again and add a fourth layer. Now I don't think you really want to watch me do that, so I'll come back to you when I have all 4 layers on my cane. Okay, I am back, and as you can see I've finished the final 4th layer, and I have stretched this out a little bit. I've reduced it, elongated it, and I've made it into a square so that it's easier to stack. And I used some tools from tinypandora.com to do that, which you're supposed to have a pair of these, but I grabbed the wrong ones. But look on there on tinypandora.com and you'll see those. So now I have made this 6 inches long. It's got a bit distorted along the way. I'm not great at reducing canes, and I did it while it was, you know, pretty warm, but I don't think it matters too much. It's part of the charm. So I've made it 6 inches long. So I'm now going to measure it into, and I've trimmed the ends, so I'm going to measure it into 2-inch pieces, and then we can cut through and stack it. Let's do this. Cut. I'm cutting it into 3. Now there are different ways to stack canes and cut canes and reduce them, and I'm not saying mine is the best. I don't feel like it's the best, and that's certainly the wrong length. But we'll just go with what we've got. You see, that's kind of abstract, isn't it? So what I would do with these is maybe to turn the middle one round and then have that one there or there. See what looks good. You see, that's the same at that end. This happens with a normal cane, so I'm going to turn that one over with a normal retro cane. And now I've got 3, and the way I've been doing is I've been reducing those into they're 2 inches long, so I've been making that into 6 inches long, and then I've been stacking it into 9. Does that make any sense? So I've got a 2-inch long cane there. Once I make it into a 6-inch cane by reducing it, I will then cut it into 3 again. So let me make this into a 6-inch again, and then I will come back and we'll stack it into 3. I know what I mean. See you in a mo. I'm back again. Do not treat your poor canes the way I treated this one. Let your cane rest and get cool. Because I'm doing the video, I've pummeled it. It's a hot day. I've squashed it, rolled it, done all sorts of things to it just to get this ready so I can show it to you. But treat your cane better than I treated mine. I made it so that it was 6 inches long, and I've cut it into 2-inch strips, and now I can make my my full cane. And you can see there's some repetition there, so we just look and choose ends that don't match. So I can stack them now, put them together neatly, and then we can take some slices and have a look. Now, as I said, in real life you would be much more human to your cane than this. I've hurried the whole process like to a ridiculous level. So let's just get my acrylic block and try and bring this lot together. All I'm doing really is just showing you the idea that this can be done without an extruder, in a weird kind of a way. So push this all together, try not to distort it too much, but I haven't let mine sit for a moment. I haven't let it cool or anything. Let's just see, let's take some slices off here. That's the end, so get rid of that bit. Let's take the other end off. Oops. I'm great at this, aren't I? Okay, so there you have it. A crazy retro cane cut it through the middle because that's what all the cool kids do. Am I even? Yeah, I am using the sharpest part of the blade. I was worried then. And you can see through the middle there, you've got all different things, and you can make yourself a lovely retro cane, but with a kind of a Picasso-esque kind of twist. Let's take a piece off there. I think it's a bit of fun. I think it's different than using your extruder. It's a bit more fiddly. And I think considering that I didn't let it cool at all, it didn't do too bad. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this as a technique, and if you've got any suggestions that might make it a little bit better. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I love you all. Thank you for watching, and check me out on Patreon. I'll put a link in the description down below, and like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon, and then you'll find out next time I'm doing a video. I'm having a cup of tea now. Bye bye.